we risk becoming an island of strangers.
We will strive for the denazification of Ukraine.
Let me put it to you,
Can't grow concrete.
Yes, you can.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the dinosaurs.
Under the EU, we weren't allowed to eat crisps.
I just
think everyone should be shot.
What the fuck is going on? Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Steele. Welcome to my podcast. Sometimes I say these words and think, does that really reflect the way the world is? Some weeks I think these are the only words that anyone can start any conversation with. What the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is going on?
It's always a joy to speak to whichever delightful soul is sat opposite me here. But on this particular week, a particular joy, because at no point did I have to think, oh my God, I hope they don't think I'm too common with my dirty little comprehensive school background. Because we were very much at one on this sort of thing. And it'll be my absolute delight to speak to the very brilliant Laura Smyth.
Oh, what the fuck is? Oh, what the fuck is? Oh, what the fuck is going on?
Every week I ask what the fuck is going on. Nobody's got a clue until this week. Because Laura Smyth, how absolutely lovely to have you with us and explain what the fuck is going on in so many ways.
We'll try.
Well, I think it's, do you know what? I'll say this in advance. I think this is going to be show, don't tell. I think we will glean from what you've got to say, what the fuck is going on, without you banging it on the head.
I might bang it on the head. I'm not afraid of hitting stuff right on the head sometimes, but I will acquiesce to experience.
You have got a bit of banging on the head about you.
Trying to call me a blunt instrument, Mr. Steele?
No, I think you could be both.
Well, you do.
You're like a cricketer that can stroke the ball through the covers and can whack it over the bowler's head for six.
Lovely.
Cricket at
I
all?
will pretend I understand the analogy. I heard six. I know that's good in cricket. What the fuck is going on indeed?
Well, let's start with, because we've got to talk about
let's
this.
talk about it. Cancer survivors.
You don't ever say that, do you?
I do it in heavy inverted commas
Yeah.
because I can't be earnest about stuff, and cancer might require you to be earnest. But I always sometimes go breast cancer survivor Laura Smyth. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's fine if it's to be funny.
Of course.
If you can, I am a cancer survivor. Fuck.
Well, actually, as a cancer survivor, I find your second-hand smoke quite offensive. Can you roll me one, please?
Oh God! I said yeah. So you could defend any argument. You could be talking absolute
bollocks.
Shit, couldn't you?
Standard, yeah.
You could. I can imagine. There's the liberally people who do it more. I can imagine some senior person in the Labour Party going, as a cancer survivor, I think my views on the efficacy of Peter Mandelson are actually better than yours.
Look, we're in a real deep professional victimhood stage of the world, aren't we? That it's great. It's so great to paint yourself as a victim because then you're the top of any pyramid, aren't you? Yeah. And we all know it when there's a victim in the family, you're the top of the pile. And I do think like stoicism's gone out the window.
I did in my book about my cancer journey.
Yes.
I did a whole chapter on the Stoics because during my time in the hospital, very, very early on, the first sort of radiotherapy session I become mates with a soldier who was also having his first session, and his was a much more difficult cancer than mine. And he said, I rather think that in moments like this, it sort of, it rather helps to turn to the Stoics. Yeah. And so I said, I'm going to do that. And so I read through Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, the Stoics, and it is brilliant. Have you ever read any of it?
I haven't. My into it was Ade Edmondson's book. He was talking about it a lot as well, and Ade Edmondson talked about it on his Desert Island Discs, which made me interested in it. I would describe my mum as a Stoic. what I subscribe to, and I think this ties into Stoicism. This is me veering away from the fact that I haven't read any classics or Marcus Aurelius, but I really subscribe to body neutrality. We before we started recording, there's a lot of body positivity or there's negativity. I'm a big believer in sort of body neutrality. Now, the joke I always talk about cancer is that you think it's going to be bish bash bosh. You've got it or you ain't, and you kick its ass in modern parlance or you don't. But the truth is, it's not bish bash bosh. It's a lot of bish 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 bish, and you think, am I all right yet? And then even when you have, supposedly beat the cancer or if there's no evidence of disease, what you're left with is, I'm talking very loudly because I know your hearing's a bit funny.
Yeah. I got, right as we sit here now, my next thing to do after whenever we've finished, whenever that may be, is I've got to go to, and it's a marvellous thing that they do, is a hearing appointment thing, because my hearing's a little bit wobbly.
Because it's all ENT with where your cancer was.
Yeah.
So
because, as a hearing sufferer survivor.
As a deaf cunt,
Do you know what? It is a funny thing, because you can't, I mean, we'll talk about this in a minute, but I think I've like most people, I think, came out of that more positive about human beings than I went. I think I was always positive, but more so. But one of the things I could see could be annoying. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame people at all, but this is, if you have struggles with hearing, my problems mostly are if I'm in a crowded room and then everything just a bit like when a CD used to go wobbly. So sometimes if someone was a little bit quiet and there's a sort of crowded room and someone's going, so what have you got, which towns are you going to next? And I'd go, oh, sorry, can you speak up, please? I can't really hear. Oh, right, no, I'm just saying that we're going to... And I go, no, can you speak up, please? Because I can't hear. And on the fourth time, there is a temptation to go, I said speak up, you fucking arsehole! Do you think my hearing suddenly got better in the half a second between ending the fucking sentence and you saying it the next time? Ah!
Well,
and I sort of always avoided that. Going, I perfectly understand. It must be you're a quiet person.
But it's frustrating because you are changed now. You are changed and you're living with that. I would veer on the opposite because I'm loud anyway, but I might be in danger of doing what my daughter calls my foreign voice. My daughter says I've got a foreign voice, which is when I speak to foreign people, she's like, why? I can see her face behind going, because I'm like, because we went to the Medina, we got a taxi, it was good, when I'm on holiday talking to the fucking receptionist, she's like, stop doing your foreign voice, you monolinguistic, ignorant Brits.
That's what, like speaking English as a foreign language, that was what it should be, because it's actually teaching English to Portuguese people. It should be that. There should be an actual Duolingo thing where it's translate this into English abroad. I would like to know where the bus stop is. Where's the bus stop?
The bus?
Brum, brum, bus! Bus!
That is me.
Fucking idiot Italian. Bus!
I know. So, I'd probably be more in danger of doing that. But what I was talking about was the body neutrality of it. So, yours is... slightly more hidden, but I've had my boobs off, I've had my ovaries and fallopian tubes out.
Oh really? Right. Oh, that sounds pretty full on. All of that.
I've had I've lost the hair, I'm on hormone blockers, do you know what I mean? So there's all these things that you're adjusting to the new you, and actually I just, like anything, like a bit of a fat gut or a stretch mark, or creases in my eyes, I just subscribe to body neutrality. My body very much reflects my life and experiences. Do I look like Margot Robbie? No, I don't. But
you're so much, all the better for that.
All the better for that. There's a little, but other people aren't. Other people, I've had friends that have lost their hair and have really struggled with losing that. When people have asked me, oh, your curls, I've kind of not really thought about it. I've not.
Did you have chemo?
Yeah, 6 months of chemo.
So did your hair come
bald, out? Yeah, and
so there's lots of sort of bits of you doing stand up with no hair.
No. Let's not be silly now. Let's not be silly. I spent £400 on a wig because I weren't going to be palmed off with an NHS one.
Okay.
And I kept on gigging. I just kept on gigging. And the thing is, the reason you spend £400 on a wig, of course, is so it don't look like a wig. And then when someone says, "Core, I like your hair," you go, "Thanks." It's a wig because you can't help yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's like a dress with pockets. You have to tell them.
A strange thing that's happened to me was I've only just really the last few months got going with the Instagram thing, and of course you get all the sort of crazy angry people that write on there. Most people are lovely, of course, but the odd one, you know. And then there was a couple that I did. I don't know. It must have been from a funny angle. I don't know. And then quite a few people were going, "What's the matter with your wig? Sort your wig out." I really haven't got a wig. Yeah. So what's that? What a fucking useless, shitty wig.
I know.
Right. And then a couple of people were going, "Don't you think it's a bit insensitive, given that he had cancer, to complain about his wig?" Yeah. And now they're arguing about my non-existent wig. These people.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on?
Well, this is it. There's always something on social media, right? And this is what's funny. And this is, you learn a little bit of resilience here. Is that you get something that does numbers, as they say, goes well, and you get everyone, ha, 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 share, like. And then, of course, the negatives come. And then you have to ride. So you ride out all the good, then you ride out all the negative. And if you shut up and sit on your hands long enough and don't reply, they'll argue amongst themselves. The snake will eat itself.
Yes.
Go mad, go for it. I always have this thing like, oh, look at her. Oh, she's probably a non-binary lesbian or something, because I had the short hair and all
It'd be
that.
great if they actually spoke like that.
Yeah, they do speak like that in my mind. And then on my temptations, always to go, actually, I've got short hair because of cancer. And I think, I don't give a fuck whether you think I'm a fucking non-binary, shaved head lesbian or they really always come for your comments. They always come for your looks, like especially for women. They come for your looks, and you go, "Drop me out. I was just a woman with an opinion." So you do learn a little bit of resilience. And I was going to go back to what you were saying about meeting your mate at the radiotherapy. In the same way, comedy club green rooms are my favourite place on earth. There's something about a chemo ward and daily radiotherapy where everyone is so stripped back. You're so stripped back in terms of you're so vulnerable that the connections you make in those rooms of those people you see daily, there is something so magic, and it's like a privilege of that being stripped back. You look like shit. Everyone looks like shit. You see someone come in with yellow eyeballs and you think, oh mate, you're a bit further gone than me. And there's such humanity in the room that there's nowhere to hide, and that's lovely.
I was doing a bit of my show about how, and it sounds like a sort of wanky thing to say, but it's really true. I think the chemotherapy room that I used to go to is possibly the most peaceful place I've ever been to.
I love it.
And it was just, the first day I was there was a sign up saying, sorry, there's a 2-hour delay, almost like it's a sort of, like
there's not every time you go.
Like it's being run by Virgin Trains. And then I thought, well, I've got cancer, I've got nothing else to do. I might as well sit here. And then I got chatting to a bloke who wasn't having chemo, he was having arsenic.
Oh,
he had this leukemia, and they decided the cure was arsenic, and he was fit enough. You had to be fit enough to withstand the arsenic, and then if you could withstand that for a couple of weeks, then your body got used to it, and then he was on that and all the while I'm thinking, if I say, okay, I believe this, is he going to go, ha! Yeah. He only believed it, but it was true. This is a cure for it. So, and he was a lovely bloke, and you get chatting to the other people, and it's just like, I'd say it was like being in a gentleman's club, other than women were allowed in it, and you're all on a drip. And I'd say, people, it felt like people would sort of, the nurses would say, your cannula is ready for you, sir. I should be playing poker today. Wise choice, sir. And it was just, it was a lovely,
it's very gentle, isn't it?
gentle sort of room. And
you'd like to bottle that kindness and consideration. And I don't know I think you were diagnosed a little bit after me, because I was still in COVID measures. So my husband would get the train.
That was after that,
we'd go up and he'd go into a Maggie's. And obviously he was doing a lot of support for me. And these Maggie's centres, I don't know if you've ever used them.
Oh, God, I just got a thing about doing a charity for them just this morning.
They're wonderful. So it started from an architect that had stage 4 cancer, and she talking about the clinical plastic chairs of, you have these horrendous diagnoses and, and information and to take it on board, and you're sitting in these very clinical sort of, municipal sort of weird buildings.
Yeah.
So they design beautiful buildings. And sometimes I'd say to my husband, "Oh no, I'll be all right going to mine." He's like, "No, I'll come up." And he'd sort of pack a backpack and books, and loved these Maggie's places because he found a place to rest there. And then I'd be on my own. And then I had sort of 6 monthly injections after treatment, and then because COVID measures, he could come with me, and he understood the piece of it and just this connection. And there's nothing like facing your own mortality to value life, and all these ironies are and cliches are true, because you just sort of sometimes you put things into perspective, and you're like, I'm here, and it
So
does
do you think you do think things a bit differently without realising it now than before?
Oh my gosh, of course. I mean, my diagnosis came just as I quit teaching, and I didn't go back in September, then got the diagnosis. And, you'd like to think it's not that, but especially with social media, I think it's always had a bit of that. We're competitive people, comedians, aren't we? So there's a little bit of the dream became the day job then, and it was a bit like, mock the week, and will I get live at the Apollo, and who's got this and who's got what? And there's so much sort of crunky noise. And actually, you get a diagnosis when you've got 3 kids and you go, the only thing I want is to live.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I want. I would be on sunrise dog walks, and the only thing I wanted was to live. And I have to sort of reconnect with that. Sometimes when things get a little bit antsy or ambitious, and something I did so much work. My philosophy was always let the doctors treat the cancer, I'll treat myself, because this came from somewhere. This mutation, this malignancy grew from somewhere. Not to do any self-blame, but I did so much. I went to a hypnotherapist. I had a spiritual healer. I went to a cranial osteopath, and I still see these people. And what I realised, I barely breathed. I sort of still don't.
So what is a hypnotherapist? I'll go through all of these one by one because I'm not familiar with any of this. Right,
I still see him. Hypnotherapy really functions. We have the talking therapies, don't we? We have sort of, I'm like this because of X, Y, Z. And that's just a narrative and understanding. And I have had that before. But actually, hypnotherapy, what I like about it is, in the first session, maybe I've just got a good hypnotherapist, he breaks down how the brain works, and he breaks down our reptilian brain, and we're trained to hold on to these traumas and hurts and anxieties to keep us safe. But actually, that part of the brain really no longer serves us in the modern world. We don't have to, we can hold on to, that's where the tigers are. that's important, or fire burns. But actually, that night I bombed at the store, it doesn't have to be held on to so heavily, or that night, that time the guy ghosted me.
That's fascinating.
Of course.
Sorry.
No, it is fascinating. So we're holding on to these things. But of course, like anything, any change that we want to do, give up smoking, stop eating so much, or change, our conscious mind, our ego and our frontal lobes go, oh no, these things have kept us safe. Stop. So hypnotherapy functions to sort of bypass all of that and go in through the back door, through the subconscious. So you go into a sort of bit of a trance state in the same way like hallucinogenics.
So do they actually hypnotise you?
Yeah, you're hypnotised. You're really in a trance state, and it can be really trippy. You can be really on a sort of trippy one where you're sort of you're talked into a sort of relaxed state, and you picture a room. And I've had ones and where there's 2 rooms almost calling me, and I'm going into the light room with a microphone, but actually this dark room's calling me that I don't want to go into. And sure enough, when I go into the dark room where I can't see the floor, can't see the sides, this was a real trippy trance. But as I went into the dark room, the darkness dissolved, and I was just in absolute, it's like I went into a darkness and fears and just loads of things like that. It's
wow, because you sort
me.
of, in my adult mind, I think, oh right, don't they just go tell you there's no such thing as the number 6, so you can't count your fingers like in the
like you're under. Don't look around the eyes.
Yeah.
No, well, and also it is a talking therapy, and it's just about that sort of rewiring of the brain to not hold these things so heavily. And I think when I was facing my mortality, in my head, I thought, well, live or die, whatever's on the other side, I don't want to carry this shit with me anymore. That's what it got down to. I don't want to carry the insecurities, the sense of not being good enough, the sensitivity, the rejection sensitivity. I don't want to carry that shit anymore. I don't want to carry negative things about myself. I don't want to die having not cracked life. So actually, I kind of overcame the fear of dying, the fear of cancer, the fear of everything. And actually what it's taught me, a lot of the restorative yoga that I did, the spiritual healing, it's about really a sense of wholeness, a sense of cohesion, a sense of reconciliation, and just being very present.
See, that I think that is very stoic. It sounds it sounds like it's coming from a different sort of the language around it is very different, but. And what with Marcus Aurelius being a Roman emperor, he probably didn't quite speak like that. But it's a sort of similar. It's a sort of similar way of thinking, because ultimately it's don't bother getting in a flap about stuff you can do nothing about.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I know it's interesting. When first time I was sort of able to go out and about and stuff after sort of treatment ended, and I was just driving around Crystal Palace. There's a sort of little very annoying one-way system, and there was a bloke behind me who got so angry because I hadn't sort of like jumped the lights so that he could jump the lights, and he got so angry. And then he pulled up close to me when he got round eventually a couple of minutes later, and he was screaming and screaming, and I put the window down just so that I could hear him. He's still stuck again. Screaming, "You fucking move your fucking car, you fucking..." So angry. And I just waited for him to end, and I said, "I'm interested in which day you're going to have a heart attack. I think it's Thursday, but if you're lucky, you'll hang on till Friday." And I put the window up. And it's one of the only times in my life when I've said the thing at the time that I wanted to, didn't think of it later. And of course, then I put the window up and I could just see him now in the window go,
yeah. Do you know what?
I probably would have been nearer to him, a couple of years before.
What the fuck is going on? Oh, what the fuck is going on?
We're always measuring against. So he's in a rush.
Yeah.
He's on him. Being present and accepting what is. I mean, my husband's taught me a lot about it. Is because I'm a very impatient person, and I'm looking at the clock, 2 hour delay on chemo, and he's like, really, what impatience is just a lack of acceptance of what is. And you want things to move faster, and everyone's very angry, and a lot of depression, anxiety. All of these things are like this imagined self, this imagined self of like, I want to be this and I want to be that and I want to be that, and all these frustrations, rather than the stoicism of what is, being present. What is? I am ill. This is it. I never really got into like, oh my gosh, any sort of narrative construction really about my cancer, like as though, I could have been someone and now I'm this, or if only I still had my boobs, if only I had this, if only I had that. I mean, sometimes, when me and my husband are having a bit of the other, there's this natural hand, they're not there. Do you know what I mean? There's certain, there's obviously there's an awareness that my body is different, but this sense of self-acceptance and then if you handle yourself with more grace, you can handle others with more grace. So this guy is angry that he's late, and then you're the cunt that's made him late. And how easy is that to make this cunt in front of him the problem, rather than sit with, I should have left 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. Yeah. I find it, I mean, there's sort of, where I sometimes with, people who've been to lots of therapy and stuff, where I sometimes think, oh, for goodness sake, is if it becomes introspective, which it often does, and it's, I feel I need to assert my needs and my boundaries and all that. I think it's all about you, and this is making you worse.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying is the opposite of that. It's sort of being more at peace with people around you, and then you could be more positive to people, because the vast majority of people are being. And I really, really felt that with through having the cancer, that pretty much everyone, with very few exceptions, were just immensely kind. Really.
Yeah. We are more alike than unalike, and there is nothing worse on this earth than someone that's not naturally assertive learning how to be assertive. And I think we're really in a danger zone where feelings are king. So you go, well, I feel this, so there you go. You go, well, feel it then. Fucking feel it. But and in terms of what the fuck is going on, I worry that what's happening at the minute with these stupid little magic mirrors we've got in our hands constantly is the narrative construction that's happening around us.
So what does that mean, narrative
Well,
construction?
because we're being told to hate each other. We're being told to be
Right.
rolled up. We're all right. You know, even all these videos of ICE in fucking America, if they wanted us to not see those videos, trust me, the algorithm would shut them down. I feel like we're being forced to fear our neighbours, fear the government. We're accepting all these horrendous things to the point of like fucking the Epstein fight. Like we're now aware people are fucking rapists and murderers that are in positions of power, and we're going, we've got such a glut of information and other horrible stuff that we're going, oh, it's just another horrible thing. Whereas 20, 30 years ago, pre-smartphones, we'd have gone, the whole world would have stopped. The world stopped for Clinton, fucking Monica Lewinsky. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's a really good point, actually, isn't it? That the world stopped more for Clinton with Monica Lewinsky than it did for what the current president was doing with with a serial sex offender
And
who had so much sex offending going on, he couldn't confine it to his office. He needed an entire island.
I know, and you know, and then we're also in AI. Someone made the point that now we're just doctored images and videos left, right, and centre. We're now not believing the evidence for our own eyes because we can hide behind that. You know, suppose and. No one knows. We're not existing in truth, and I think to myself, well, what is truth? And truth is human connection, isn't it? Truth and love, and just stepping outside and connecting. And we can't keep all this anger and vitriol for people with different opinions. It's crazy because the minute you step off social media and you talk to someone who might be absolutely like vitriolic and banging a drum about any one cause, you talk to them and you go, oh God, I saw that. And then you're laughing about the same things. You've got the same takes, and it's all a lot lighter when you're person to person.
I think it serves the people who want us to be divided.
Of course,
the social media and all the Instagram things that pop up on your phone. Because it's harder when the sort of social world was much more integrated, and I know there were many things wrong with the 1950s and 60s, but when most people worked in a workplace with many other people, not just factories but the offices and so on, schools or what have you, schools obviously is still the case, but there was a sort of and the main sort of social outings there were welfare clubs and so on in the workplace, the shipyards, the railwaymen. They had all these sorts of work, and people were much more connected, and you were forced to deal with people that were different to you in a way that now you can just write them off and on social media and just go, well, you're an arsehole, fuck you, you wanker.
But even in the 90s, but I'll go up to the 90s, like really early 90s, people were in the same pubs or don't talk to me or do talk or have a massive argument, then buy each other a pint, and yes, and quite gnarly, weird ideas. Do you know what I mean? And but also I was watching the Take That documentary of all things, and,
all right.
and it was
the times that gets brought up on this podcast.
No. But it was so fascinating, like the early 90s, the hysteria and people queuing. Right. Even in the mid-noughties, people were queuing for the ticket box office. Like, how analog is that? How real life is that?
Yes.
How real and tangible it felt. And not that long ago, even when they had their comeback tour, their reunited tour in the early noughties, people were sleeping out in tents. Do you remember that? It just
That's
felt so
much
magic.
more social, isn't it, than everybody just hovering over a laptop.
And then having ticket prices inflated once you get to the top places. But it was like we've lost so much in such a short amount of time of just like, and we're lucky we gig because it's so real. Gigging is so real.
I wonder if that's one of the reasons behind the sort of growth in stand-up. I know there's all sorts of other things, the theatres don't have the funding and so on, so it's much more difficult for them to put on plays and dance and things like that, so they rely on stand-up. We're cheap, yeah. I mean, you go to theatres and generally you sort of see the posters for all the other things and it'll be other stand-ups, tribute acts, tribute bands, like the T-Rex
Bootleg
one.
Beatles.
Yeah, all that sort of thing.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, is that a real one?
I think there's loads of them. I love them all. Yeah.
Someone told me they saw a George Harrison tribute act, and immediately I went, please tell me he's called My Sweet Fraud. And they went, oh, I wish I could see him. And I thought, did he not think of that? Anyway, or psychics.
Yeah.
There's loads of them, isn't there? Oh, I'd come on, is there someone here who's had an argument with someone? Yes, how did you know that? Those people. And it's full of that because the plays and so on, they require funding and they require lots of technicians, and the theatres can't afford them anymore. But other than that, I think another reason for the sort of boost in stand-up, because it doesn't just happen here, it's right across Europe. In some ways it's even more marked, like in France, because I know I like to follow things in France, but stand-up there over the last 10 years has gone from virtually nothing to being as massive as it is here. And I wonder, that's part of it. Is it something, it's one of the few places where you go and there's a connection with other people, where you're not just sort of digital. And
it's, but I don't know, especially since lockdowns and stuff. I don't know if you've had it where people have come up to me in clubs and gone, oh, I didn't know how much I needed to laugh. I didn't know how much I needed that. My friend dragged me along, and I'm just so glad I did it. People are in their little heads so much. There's so much sort of solipsism, and and it's like. The other thing for as a stand-up, you think the whole world exists in Twitter and Instagram. And you think, because you're getting this curated algorithm naturally, and this is why people can't handle a difference of opinion, because they've curated the whole world reflecting back at them as they want it. Yeah. But I always say, you go up and around the country, it's like taking the temperature of the country. I mean, because you might say something like, you'll be in Yorkshire or somewhere, go, the cost of living crisis, and people are sort of going, no. We all bought our house for 10p, 50 years. You know what I mean? And we're all driving Range Rovers. Like, they're all right. Or out in Essex, they don't give a fuck about the cost of living crisis out in Essex. You think everyone's talking about something, like, they don't give a shit. They're all right. Or then they are, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it does. I mean, I suppose as you sort of get your own audience, that becomes less.
Are you not on mixed bills as much? Do you just tour?
Not really. So that could be, I would imagine, if I was to sort of go to a very Farage place, that there's probably things that I do that I go, this always gets a big laugh, and that might get a sort of, fuck that. Yeah, I don't know.
Because I've got a joke at the minute where I say, I've been at my nephew's coming out party, and everyone's, ooh, and I go, he's still on tag and that, but it's nice to have him home, right? It's a woo, ooh, yeah. And that joke is so funny, right? Because I could be in like a club that's really like super working class, out in Essex, and the first bit gets a who's this short-haired lesbian saying things? Do you know what I mean? And then I do the joke, and they laugh in huge relief. And then if I'm in a more sort of evolved kind of open-minded sort of place, they love the first bit, and some of them get the second bit.
And that's where we're going to leave it for now. If you want to hear the rest of this interview, you can watch the whole thing right now over on Patreon. For just £4 a month, you can get exclusive early access to the full episodes before anyone else, ad-free. No adverts. There's nowhere in this world with no adverts. Greta Thunberg now would make speeches where she'll go, and that is why it is essential that we have to combine the use of wind power and wave power in order to satisfy our commitment to net zero. But if we are going to erect a wind turbine, we can't do it without the energy you get from a Galaxy bar. Galaxy, my favourite chocolate bar before saving the planet. Just search What the Fuck Is Going On Patreon, or click the link in the episode notes. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. Remember, if you've liked it, rate it, and if you can be bothered, write a review. If you can't be bothered, just think about what that says about you as a human being. What the Fuck Is Going On was recorded at West Digital Studios. The music was by Willie Dowling. It was produced and edited by Mike Benwell at Carousel Studios, with special thanks to Pete Sinclair. What the Fuck Is Going On was brought to you by WTF Productions.